Okay, hello everyone. So, sorry about the big title. I effectively head up IT for the Vita Group. So I'll give you a quick introduction of who we are and what we do. We kind of began our cloud back in 2012, so I'll give you the kind of the challenges we faced and the kind of, how we viewed it. We then obviously adopted cloud. That's why Exponential-e have invited me here. And we also adopted the service model as a way of kind of delivering that. I'll chat about what we've done with Exponential-e, the kind of partnership we've had with them, the payoff. What we actually, I think some people set out and say, let's go cloud, it's what everyone's doing. I'll discuss the actual kind of payoff, and some of it wasn't expected. And then what we're doing, what we're looking at, how we're going to continue that journey. So the Vita Group, we manufacture polyurethane foam. I'm not allowed to call it sponge, but it's sponge. So it kind of goes into seating. We're quite big in the aircraft industry, noise reduction, kind of tapes for insulation. We're quite a decent sized group. No one's ever heard of us. So usually we're selling into your HP for their packaging. We sell to kind of Airbus, Volkswagen, BMW. When you kind of bump in your car and your dashboard is kind of spongy, that's polyurethane foam. It's kind of acoustics, automotive, bedding, furniture, construction, filtration. It is actually everywhere. It's a federation of about 26 companies. We've got 35 sites in 13 countries. We tend to produce and supply close to our customers, so we follow the customers. It's about 650 million turnover, 2,500 employees, of which quite a high proportion are actually IT users, so we have a lot of IT on the shop floor linked to the manufacturing processes. We manage it now with 13 technical staff, 4 virtualised data centres, 2 in London, 1 in Germany and 1 in the Netherlands, and we're definitely into kind of cloud and service. The kind of reason we went cloud and when we looked at it, back in 2012, IT was definitely operating as a federation. On the first slide, I've broken it now, haven't I?
Keep going.
So on the first slide, there was a piece, if you read, that said, we've got an entrepreneurial spirit. So each of the businesses is out there in different markets, winning customers, developing products. So the IT was very federated and aligned to the individual businesses. So we had a lot of IT in a lot of places. Geographically, again, lots of users spread out. They're everywhere in small communities supporting the businesses. And the business is constantly flexing. So new startups, new locations, new products. The managers have got the remit to go out and be entrepreneurs. We had massive demand, so IT was being battered. We were constantly in the trenches trying to cope with the amount of demand. Multiple flavours, hardware, you name it, we had it. We had every version of email being run independently, and we probably had every version of management system as well. We kind of virtualised, so when virtualise became a thing, and everyone rushed out to do it and said, let's virtualise, we jumped on that bandwagon and kind of adopted early. It was a double-edged sword for us, to be perfectly honest. It delivered a lot of benefits, so we consolidated, we reduced the amount of team. DR became easier, but we had and I use the word exponential, we had an exponential increase in technical skill requirements. So, virtualization's great if you're going to put it on a server and say, oh look, I'm running 2 virtual servers on 1 box. But if you're going to do it properly in dual data centers and you know, consolidate your storage and consolidate your platform, it brings a hell of a skill overhead with it. And we suffered with that. The IT became technically focused on running the platform and running what we were doing. And we ended up in a kind of break-fix model. So it was, you know, oh no, it's gone wrong again, IT will fix it. And the IT community started to view themselves as superheroes. Yeah, so they thought their job is to fix it when it breaks. So aren't we doing a great job? Isn't it fantastic? And we said, no, we need to get to a point where we're saying it doesn't break, or when it does, it's nature that kind of resolves it. It sorts itself out. So we looked about in cloud, you know, virtualization had hit, and VDI was doing the rounds, and kind of cloud was the next big thing, and everyone was selling cloud. And we needed that kind of, we wanted to transform, and we all obviously had to keep, the business grows like crazy, so it's the growth, and we needed to maintain and support that. Disaster recovery, always been massive for us. So the process of manufacturing the foam, it's all chemicals, so isocyanates, it's some pretty nasty chemicals on some of the sites. So that's always been massive for us. We kind of got to that point where, and it was alluded to before, where we were kind of sitting there as an IT community and say, what are we actually doing? All we're doing is kind of messing with wires, flashing lights, you know, we're in rooms, we're kicking things, we're hitting things, we're praying they come back up. And we kind of realised that, you know, we've got to get away from that. We can't panic about the inner workings of the services. Work from anywhere, it was a given. So, you know, phones, kind of all those kind of devices were coming in. We needed to allow the smaller businesses to act as true startups. So these businesses have to kind of hit the ground running and pay for themselves. So we're kind of like the Roman Empire. So we go out, we acquire businesses, we start businesses, and if that business is functioning and running okay, we leave it alone, and you know, they pay us monthly. We had to let them behave as startups. So we couldn't go out and put big corporate stacks on them. You know, we couldn't denote you will use SAP or you will use some big kind of management system. We had to give them a menu that they could choose through to run their business. Yeah? And we had to get IT refocused on business specifics. What is it we do with foam and IT, not what do we do with technology. So kind of cloud shows us. So we asked ourselves two questions. Yeah, we said, you know, how do we implement a cloud environment? It's a big question. And then we said, and if we do implement a cloud environment, how do we operate it effectively? So we found a partner who kind of understood cloud. Yeah, and we went out and we looked, and that was the kind of remit. And we adopted the service model. So we stopped thinking of break fix, we stopped thinking as IT as a resolver as problems, and we moved towards IT as a service provision. How do we provide service? So, as I say, we adopted kind of early 2012, we pushed all our email systems out. We had to get rid of them, we had too many of them. So we kind of pushed them out onto the cloud. We went hybrid. So we took email as a service. That was done separately. We had some applications that, you know, people were offering as services, stuff on the outside. So we moved to SaaS for some of those. And then we went out and said, right, we want to buy some cloud. Lots of people were selling it. Yeah, so there was lots of cloud. I think everything had cloud. You know, you could buy a cloud newspaper. All the newspapers were going online. Everything was cloud. We went and looked, and a lot of it actually turned out to be co-location. So you know, a lot of people had built a lot of data centers. I hope no one from HP's in, but you know, people like HP and kind of Dell had built a lot of kit that they wanted to sell to customers. And they kind of wanted to then move that into data centers, and instead of selling you it, have you run your applications on their kit in their kind of data centers. We discovered Exponential-e. So we kind of went, we looked at quite a few providers, and Exponential-e seemed to get it. They were making the right noises. We'll come down to it later. They were talking about things like, compute models, CPU, disk, tier 1, tier 2 storage. We weren't getting into discussions around racks, power consumption, 5-year leases where they buy the kit on our behalf and kind of lease it back. So we made the decision, and we kind of, after much to-ing and fro-ing, we kind of found a solution with them that would kind of work. I think the big one for us was we kind of decided early on that we didn't want to be special. Yeah, we didn't want to go to them and say, we're Vita, we're special, you need to do this for us, you need to change that for us. We didn't want any building. We didn't want private cloud at the time. We elected to go hybrid, so we went multi-tenanted. We wanted the platform to be in place, yeah, and we wanted it to be business as usual. We wanted them to onboard us and understand exactly what it was they were doing when they onboarded us. Couple of sleepless nights, and we decided to press the button. We're going to go cloud, and then we thought, really? We kind of hooked it up into our infrastructure, and I think this kind of points here about the layer 2 network. Exponential-e connected their data center to our data center. We did some trickery with the IP addressing scheme, and we turned the 2 data centers, theirs in London, ours in Manchester. We turned them into a single data center and a single platform. And then we started pressing the buttons on migrating the applications. And we operated for about 2 weeks, where we planned 2 months, but after kind of 2 weeks, it became apparent that we could do this. And we started pressing buttons, and servers started vanishing and being sucked down lines and kind of coming up in the other data center. And at one point, we didn't actually know where stuff was. So, is it in Manchester? Is it in London? And we thought, we're cloud. Yeah, we've done it. We're on the cloud. The payoff for us, IT responds to demand very quickly. So not just with the Exponential-e guys. When we talk about SaaS, software as a service, things like security, authentication, as soon as the business asks for it, we can find a partner, and then we can have a discussion about how we plug that into our cloud and add it to our service portfolio. No more risk, no more high risk with large capital projects. Hardware refreshes are kind of, and that guy sat on the beach in the previous presentation. We don't need to do that big, risky procurement of hardware, new technology. That's with Exponential-e. We concentrate on the service. Budget discussions, again, it's around the service, and the business understands what the service delivers into the business. You're not having discussions around SANs, pieces of kit, wire, routers. It moves away from that discussion. The IT community has now become we've lost some of the technical skills slightly. We still do have it in-house, so we can understand what we're doing with the services, but they're more about deploying services and not building servers. It's what they focus on. What service can we deliver into the business? The scalability, so try before we buy. We can put a service in very cheaply, very small. We can try it in a business, and if it works, we can scale it out for the rest of the business. We don't have that risk anymore. We can experiment on the business, pull it back without too much investment. As we said, skill sets, that's a kind of Citrix and kind of, some of the back-end technology. It's really moved on a pace. Trying to keep up with that and kind of keep them skill sets going. There's no one from Vita in the room. We're a manufacturing company, we're not sexy. So, we make stuff and we sell it. From an IT point of view, it's not sexy, but the IT guys are now in that kind of position where they're part of the business and they feel part of the business. Compliance. Again, we are tier 2 automotive, so there's a lot of, we supply into the aircraft industry. We've given up trying to apply a kind of one-size-fits-all security model. So instead of having a single security model that's a sledgehammer to crack a nut for some of these smaller services, we build the compliance and the security into the service. What does the individual kind of service need? So what are we doing? What's the plan? Building services. So I think kind of we started with infrastructure. We're doing some SaaS. We're now with Exponential-e, and we're kind of working our way up the stack. So our kind of application delivery platform is Citrix Zen app. We're kind of giving that to Exponential-e so we can sit on the beach. and we're kind of looking at how far up the stack can we get from an IT point of view. The ultimate goal is to the application layer, that we'll have people looking after the lights on and watering of the applications. We're kind of in the process of that now. So Citrix is an application delivery platform. We've moved that over to Exponential-e. And we're looking at things like SQL as a service. We've looked at Azure, and we've looked at Microsoft's offering, and the security element is probably a bit too far out for us at the moment. So we're looking at Expo-e as a SQL as a service. Further consolidation of the data centers. So the plan is that we'll run 2. We'll run 1 in London, and we'll run 1 in Frankfurt. So again, Exponential-e are assisting us with that. Self-service, so that's been massive for us. Get the users to do the work for you. It's fantastic. And they have a sense of ownership, and we're moving towards COPE, so corporate-owned personal equipment. Core network, so at the moment we have a core that's kind of the whole of the UK. We have some tails into the Netherlands and France. We're looking at expanding that into Eastern Europe. A lot of our growth is in Eastern Europe, so that's, extend that boundary out. Telephony, so, traditionally for us, unbelievably, we got away with it as IT. Telephony was seen as plant maintenance. So the unlucky plant maintenance department used to run the telephony. It was physical, it was on site. We're looking at bringing that into the cloud and applying the service model to it. And then obviously things like Azure, Active Directory, Office 365, we want to be able to plug that into the hybrid cloud and kind of run those services. So I think kind of future plans for us is to add the word as a service after everything. Yeah? If it's not nailed down, we'll turn it into a service. Thank you.